Hi, well, this is a Fungible Millennial. I've been selling a lot of my top performing altcoins to buy Bitcoins lately because I believe Bitcoin is going to reach 100,000 K in the next few months and $1 million in a few years' time. And today I'm going to show you the top 5 reasons why I believe this to be true. If you're new to my channel, I do videos on all things finance, from property to cryptocurrency investing. Before I start, I kindly ask you to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to my channel. And I'm not a financial advisor, and this video is just for entertainment purposes only. When Satoshi Nakamoto first created Bitcoin, he or she capped the number of coins to be at 21 million, and it's near impossible to change this number. Bitcoin was originally conceptualized to be used as a medium for exchange, but as we know now, it's more of a store value. Mining Bitcoin is likened to solving cryptographic puzzles in order to verify and validate a block or data in its network. You get rewarded a set of Bitcoin when a block of transition is verified and validated. When Bitcoin was first released in 2009, the reward for confirming a block of transactions was 50 Bitcoins. Every 4 years, this has been halved, and in 2020, this reward is 6.25 for every new block. If you go back to high school maths, you know that this exponential decay function doesn't reach zero, but has an asymptote. It's believed that Bitcoin will finally be mined close to 21 million around February 2140. And this brings me to the first reason why I think Bitcoin will increase to $100,000 soon, and $1 million in the near future. And that is scarcity. Scarcity by definition is a naturally occurring limitation on a resource that cannot be replenished. As Bitcoin is finite and that it is capped at 21 million coins, and this cannot be replenished, it is therefore scarce. We know rare metals such as gold, platinum, rhodium are expensive, and these elements cannot be created from scratch, and there is a finite amount of it on Earth. This holds true to Bitcoin, but in a digital sense. There's a limited amount of Bitcoins, and we have mined almost 90% of it. Because of this limit on supply, the demand will only increase as evident by the skyrocketing price of Bitcoin. Added to this scarcity factor is that 20% of Bitcoin is lost. And yeah, unfortunately, I'm one of those people that lost their Bitcoin in a wallet. So this means technically the reserve is only 16.8 million coins. If you treat Bitcoin the same way you would, say, the precious metal gold, you can see some striking resemblance. For example, if you look at the current trend of Bitcoin in the past year and superimpose it with the trend of gold from 1970 to 79, you can see that they follow an eerily similar trend line. Furthermore, this graph provided by tech dev show that the growth of Bitcoin is more explosive or accelerated than the trend of gold, as the yellow trend line of gold is represented as 10 years compressed down to a year's worth of candlestick trend for the past year's Bitcoin price. This means if the trend line holds true, the same amount of wealth is created by investing in gold in a few years in the 70s as to investing in Bitcoin now in just a few months. If tech devs' predictions are right, Bitcoin could reach around $120,000 by the end of this year and $300,000 in January. But of course, past trends are no way representative of the current trend. There's another metric called stock to flow, which models around rare commodities such as gold and silver that Bitcoin also resembles. The stock to flow model is a model generally applied to commodities such as gold or silver, where they retain their value over the long term because of their scarcity and low flow. This model is used to forecast the price of the said commodities based on existing historical data. Plan B released a white paper that showed Bitcoin's price also historically and convincingly followed the stock to flow ratio, and therefore could be a metric to use to predict the price of Bitcoin. Let me go over what a stock to flow is, and I will do a more in-depth analysis in the future of how a stock to flow graph works. But the take-home message for this video is, the black trend line is the stock to flow model for Bitcoin that can be mathematically calculated. The rainbow trend line is the historical price of Bitcoin, which also shows the number of days until halving. The color on the Bitcoin price represents the days until a halving event. Remember, the halving event happens every 4 years, so the cooler colors represent the largest number of days away from a halving event, whilst the warmer colors represent that the halving event is going to happen soon, with red being the day halving is occurring. The stock is existing supply of assets, and flow is the additional new supply that is being generated. In the case of Bitcoin, the stock is circulating supply, whilst the flow is newly mined Bitcoins. As there is a limit to the supply of coins, this number will eventually remain fixed close to 21 million, whilst the flow will increasingly get smaller. Basic division dictates that if you divide a number close to 0, you will get a number close to infinity. But for the sake of this video, the graph is capped at 2026. This model, of course, is not without its flaws, such as usage and adoption of Bitcoin, etc. And I'll go into more detail in a future video. So just from looking at the stock to flow model of Bitcoin, it is predicted that Bitcoin will reach $1 million in 2025 or 26. Whilst we're looking at graphs, let's delve into the third reason why I think Bitcoin will generate a lot of wealth in the near future. And it will go through an astronomical increase this year. The golden cross. A month ago, the moving average of the 50-day trend line crossed over the 200-day trend line. This is also known as the golden cross. The last time this happened, which is the beginning of this year, Bitcoin increased by 8-fold. This simply means that the average price in 50 days is higher than that of 200 days, signifying an increase in momentum of the market, and that there's significant uptrend movement. In September, another Golden Cross event occurred, signifying that we are currently in a bullish market. And the fourth reason why I think Bitcoin will reach $100,000 by the end of this year is because it goes through a 4-year cycle, i.e. the price peaks every 4 years since 2013. This can be seen by just looking at the relative strength index. As the name suggests, this measures the strength or weakness of a stock or crypto in question based on the recent trading period. The higher the number, the stronger the asset in question. In the past, you can see that Bitcoin has an RSI of above 90 in 2013, 2017, and now 2021. It seems to have double peaked each time. This cycle will only peaked once, so if the 4-year trend holds true, we'll be seeing a second peak very soon. If we compare the current trend with that of 2013, we can see that in 2013, Bitcoin increased to a high of $270 in the weeks of April 15, but went down to $65, and then rose to $1,243 in November of that year. This is almost a gain of 1,800% from $65. If the current bull run mimics the trend of 2013, we could see an increase of Bitcoin to $210,000 by the end of this year. This, of course, surpasses my prediction of $100,000 by 2-fold. This is a tabulated data of that 4-year cycle done by Sanjib from Crypto Bulls Club, showing that so far we have seen 3 bull runs, and we are going through one right now. My fifth and final reason why I think Bitcoin will increase to $1 million in my lifetime is mass adoption. Gold could be worthless if it has no use, but we know today that isn't the case. We use it in a wide range of applications such as gadgets, jewelry, dentistry, and previously it's used as money. Similarly, Bitcoin could be worthless if it has no use. In the last year, we saw an increase by 881% of the adoption of crypto worldwide. And we also saw the mass adoption of Bitcoin by different companies. Besides trading it, Bitcoin is adopted by large corporations and used as a way of transferring money rapidly. Most notable companies accepting Bitcoin as payment include AT&T, who are the first major US mobile carrier to allow customers to pay their bills via BitPay, Microsoft, the ubiquitous software company that allows you to top up your Microsoft account with Bitcoin. Burger King outlets in some countries have allowed customers to pay via Bitcoin as well as other cryptocurrencies for their purchases. Other fast food chains include KFC, Starbucks, Subway, Pizza Hut, etc. have all followed suit. Airlines such as Norwegian Air, Cheap Air, and Virgin Galactic are all accepting Bitcoin. Included on the list of companies that is accepting Bitcoin as a payment method are Twitch, OkCupid, PayPal, Etsy, Walmart, Wikipedia, etc. You can see the almost complete list via 99bitcoins.com, and the list is just going to grow from here. Adoption by countries. In September this year, we saw El Salvador adopt Bitcoin as its legal tender. This is because a lot of the money is moved from Salvadorians living in the US to their relatives in El Salvador. Having the ability to send money via Bitcoin will save Salvadorians a whopping $400 million on fees per year. Other countries that might look to adopt Bitcoin include Panama, Ukraine, Cuba, etc. According to the Global Adoption Index of 2021, Vietnam, India, and Pakistan score the highest in terms of crypto adoption. Combined, these countries account for 21.5% of the global population. On top of this, financial institutions are buying Bitcoin as an investment. I'm not the only one that believes Bitcoin is a great investment, as a lot of institutional investors are getting into Bitcoin investing because they see the value of Bitcoin. Large companies such as MicroStrategy, Tesla, Galaxy Digital Holdings, Voyager Digital, Square, Marathon Digital Holdings, Coinbase, Bitcoin Group, Hut 8 are holding Bitcoin. Just by analyzing the number of addresses holding various amounts of Bitcoin, you can see over 97.89% of addresses holding a relatively small amount of Bitcoin, that is less than 1 Bitcoin. But this only accounts for 5.25% of all Bitcoins, whilst the remaining 2.11% of addresses hold 1 or more Bitcoin, and this accounts for 94.75% of the total Bitcoin. Those addresses holding more than 1 Bitcoin are most likely to be institutional investors rather than your regular Joe. Mass adoption is also seen through Bitcoin being listed as an ETF. Most recently, we saw the inception of Bitcoin Exchange Traded Funds, or ETFs. For those who are not familiar with ETFs, these are funds that tracks the performance of a particular asset, and in this case, Bitcoin. Technically, a Bitcoin ETF should mimic the price of Bitcoin. The 2 ETFs released so far include ProShare Bitcoin Strategy ETF, ticker BITO, and Valkyrie's Bitcoin Strategy Fund ETF, ticker BTF. Being an ETF that is traded on the stock exchange means it will be more readily available and exposed to any share investors who might not have bought Bitcoin through traditional crypto dexes. As Bitcoin becomes more popular through mass adoption, there will be an increase in demand of Bitcoin and hopefully an increase in price. These are my top 5 reasons why I think Bitcoin will reach $100,000 by the end of this year and $1 million in the near future. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to see more videos like these. Make sure also to check out my freebies that I have down below. Until next time, thanks for watching!